Someone once asked Ramana Maharshi, "How should we treat others?" To which he replied, "There are no others." What he was suggesting is that there is one life, one consciousness, one spirit, which manifests in a variety of forms. So even though there may be many different forms, different bodies, different creatures, different people, it's all the same life energy which animates everyone and everything. And the recognition of this is what we call love. Now, I'm not talking about all of the things that we commonly mistake for love, like infatuation or attachment or desire, but genuine, all-encompassing, unconditional love. The recognition that we all share the same essential nature, that flowing through you and through me and through everything is the very same life, the same consciousness. Not that there is your consciousness and my consciousness, but rather that there is just consciousness. When you see a stranger who is struggling or suffering in some way, and you feel empathy and compassion, when you feel the compulsion to help them, where is that arising from? Why do you care? What's the benefit in helping a stranger who is not likely to do anything for you in return? You're going to expend your own time and energy and resources to help someone who doesn't have any means to repay you. What's the point? What's the benefit? We may not always be consciously aware of it, but that compassion, that compulsion to help, to relieve the suffering of others, is arising from the deep intuitive knowing that there is no separateness between the two of you. Deep down, you are one in the same. This distinction between self and other, it's only in terms of the form, but the essence is the same. And of course, if you only see yourself as the form, but not the formless essence, then it seems as though we're all separate individuals isolated from one another. If you only live at the surface, at the level of form, your relationships tend to remain shallow. It becomes difficult to connect deeply with others. Most relationships begin at the surface, especially romantic relationships. You find yourself attracted to the physical form, the outward appearance, the face, the body, the way a person dresses, the way they behave. And then you get drawn in further by the personality, as well as the person's interests and opinions, beliefs and attitude, and so on. All of that is what initially draws us to someone and causes us to want to pursue a relationship. And for some people, the relationship remains at that level, at the level of the body and the personality. But there's still this sense that you are two completely separate individuals. And so your main concern is with your own benefit, your own pleasure, your own enjoyment, your own needs and desires, and so on. In other words, there's a kind of selfishness. It's all about, what can the other do for me? What can I get from the other? And when you have two people with that mindset, and there's going to be drama and conflict. You're going to be manipulating and exploiting one another. You're both going to feel used because you are being used. You're both going to feel resentful that the other is using you while not fulfilling your desires. And that kind of relationship is going to be very unsatisfying and unpleasant. For others, there's a sense of something deeper. Even if you can't quite understand it, you just feel it. And if you're open to it, you can go very deep. Even if it was initially just a physical attraction, it can open the door to love. And then it becomes, what can I do for you? And there is joy and satisfaction in serving one another because the other is you, and their joy is your joy. It's just you in another body with a different mind and personality and so on. But that's just the shell. That's the facade. Underneath, it's the same life, the same consciousness, the same spirit. And so any relationship, romantic or otherwise, can be a gateway to this deeper connection. And not in the sense that you become connected, but in the sense that you recognize this already existing connection that has been there all along. The relationship invites you to open up to it. The relationship awakens that love in us. The problem is when we become dependent upon the other, thinking that they're the source of it, and that without them, we wouldn't have it. And so we become very attached, and in attachment there is fear. And as soon as fear arises, we become closed to love. But if you can recognize that the love is arising from within you, you don't have to depend on anyone or anything. That's why we say that love is unconditional. It doesn't depend on any conditions. You don't even have to have the condition of another person. You can be alone in love. And from the eyes of love, you begin to see that there's all these different forms, all these different bodies with their unique personalities and so on. But it's all the same consciousness, which is playing these various roles, these different characters. And you may not like some of those characters. Some of them may be very unpleasant, abrasive, antagonistic, manipulative, or destructive. And you may choose not to associate with them, but you recognize that's just the conditioned personality, the persona. Persona means mask, so it's just a mask, a costume, a character. But who's playing the character? Who is behind the mask? You recognize, even if they don't, and in most cases they don't, which is precisely why they behave as they do, but you recognize this is the same consciousness playing a different character. And while you may dislike the character, there's still love because you know that's not the essence of who they are. No one who is in recognition of this connection will ever seek to harm another. It's only when we're out of touch with that that we engage in selfish behavior. When we're out of touch with that, that's when we're the most miserable, the most afraid, lonely, agitated, and so on. And it's from that state of mind that we behave in ways that are hurtful toward others. From that state of mind, there's this sense of lack. Something is missing, a sense of desperation. And we're only thinking of ourselves and how to satiate that thirst, how to fill that void in us, how to relieve that suffering. And it doesn't matter to us who gets hurt in the process. But unfortunately, nothing we do relieves it. In fact, oftentimes it just grows. Whatever we do generally takes us further away. It's only when we open up to love, to allow love the space to arise in us. That's the only thing that fills the void. And it doesn't come from someplace outside of us. It comes from deep within. And that's why so many people never find it, because they're too busy looking outside. And it's right there within them the whole time, just waiting to be discovered.